which, we're going to give a couple of minutes for everyone to join, because Google doesn't want to work on the access rights. When you integrate, I have to admit everyone, as it seems. But that's okay. We're going to take a couple of minutes. And maybe to start with, we can share. I don't like to share where's everyone to dial in. Maybe I should, but I kind of feel like, yeah, it's okay. Like, everyone is asking the same question. So maybe we can share what we ate for lunch or breakfast, because that's a much more interesting topic to discuss. I feel like that food brings people together. So why don't we do that in the meantime? All right. And a little bit of housekeeping. So my sessions usually run as like friends meeting and learning together. So like no need to feel extra official. There will be time for Q&A. So keep all your questions for the end of the session. If you come up with something, write it down to make sure that you can ask about it. We're gonna use our chat a lot. So just go back to the chat, and if you need to chat together or ask me something, you can do it there. If I don't see your immediate question in the chat, you can also raise your hand. But once again, there will be the time for the Q&A at the very end. So in the beginning, I'm going to be mostly talking, and giving you all the relevant information. And then also, it's up to you if you want to keep your camera on or off. For many of you, it's going to be like the end of the day. So I usually have no problems with people putting the camera off. I always appreciate people having it on, but honestly, no problem at all. Have no preference. So just make yourself very comfortable. I am recording this meeting. I will send the recording afterwards as well. And I will share with you everything that I'm showing you today. So you're going to have access to absolutely everything. And the big part of the housekeeping is that you have to mute yourself, obviously, because for now, it's going to be just me who is talking. So I'm seeing some familiar faces. Paula, it's so good to see you. Hi. um, Paula and I work together on the sessions. I love always seeing folks who coming back to my sessions who've been part of my course or one-on-one advising. Hopefully, I'm not too harsh and annoying as as some people say in my comments on LinkedIn. So happy to see people coming back. Okay. So we're gonna have another 2 minutes. Let us see what's happening in the chat. Okay, so many folks
Okay. Come on, baby. If we're going to school, what should you be
many
doing?
folks also record, and you can also record this session on your own tools. It's totally okay. It's a free session. If you find that useful, I would love for you to share it with your friends and whomsoever. Ritvik, congrats on 2 years in Germany. You have 3 more years to really like it, and then it goes downhill. But that's another story. That's a different workshop. I feel like what is it that I'm going to be doing when when I'm tired of the place where I am? Okay, let us see. So for now, it's 150 of us. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time and joining this session after or before your work day. I really, really appreciate that. And I will make sure that it's as useful as possible. So let me see very quickly if I can allow everyone to join without me admitting people to it. That's a funny part about Google. I would expect that functionality to be much easier, like Zoom has, but unfortunately it's not. And this is what we have to be working with. Hi from New York as well. Okay, folks, let's do the very quick icebreaker before we dive in. So either tell me what you had for lunch or dinner or breakfast, whatever, depends where you are, or tell me where you are dialing in from. I see New York, Quebec, Mexico, the UK. So let us do a small icebreaker so we just get to know a little bit each other. Amsterdam, London, France, London, Germany, the UK, Berlin, New York, San Francisco. Oh, wow, Sweden, US, San Francisco. So Canada, Romania, some coffee. Okay, hopefully more than just coffee. By this time in Romania, it's like dinner time. Stockholm. Denmark, Poland, Italy, UK, Berlin, Spain. You guys, you're really feeding my ego. I'm so international. It's awesome. I love it so much. This is so cool. I see a lot of different answers and definitely a lot of folks from very different countries in Europe. I see India, Indonesia, Costa Rica as well. This is so cool. I love that. Thank you so much for coming. Florida, Vienna, Colombia, Denver, Detroit, Seattle. Wow, honestly. I wonder if there are like literally all the states of the US right now on the call. Cool. So we have a gorgeous number of 150 participants, and I think this is about time to start kicking that off. So once again, housekeeping, please mute yourself, and there will be time where you can be asking me questions. And I'm going to be sharing more. If there are some questions, you can drop it in the chat. I'll try to keep my eye on it. But for the rest, we are good to start and we are good to go. And I must tell you that I'm testing a new format of the sessions on Canva. So let us see how it goes and hopefully we enjoy it. And yeah, welcome to our session of building portfolio that gets you hired. It's powered by Framer. So thank you so much, Framer, for giving us this opportunity. I put a lot of super useful material, and because of the companies like Framer, it's not only possible to share all this knowledge, but also literally to build amazing portfolios. And today you will understand what makes a portfolio amazing. I will give you some examples. One of the examples is a literal person who I hired a couple of months ago. So it's working in the current market. And it's a very fresh and useful information that hopefully will help you get to the roles and to the jobs that you deserve and wish. So the agenda is very simple, similar to what I shared with you in a small message. So we're gonna review some of the portfolios. It's gonna be 4 portfolios today. I'm gonna tell you all the do's and don'ts. I literally created just like lists of things because I think it's so important. There's so much information what should be and should not be in the portfolio, and there's a lot of people who have opinions but have no credibility to share those things. So I hope that this session is really going to clarify for you what is it that recruiters and hiring managers are looking at the portfolios and what you should be and should not be adding. I also want to give you a very clear case study framework because you're going to be building case studies. It's extremely important. I'm going to explain how many case studies you should be having in your portfolio at least. I'm going to explain how it can be running, like what are the good prompts to ask yourself. And that's kind of, where you can start really rewriting your portfolio case studies right away together with me. So, like asking yourself those prompts and start putting some of the notes as I explained, so you can come back afterwards and start building it literally today. And then I save a lot of time, around 30 minutes in the live Q&A, because I want to make sure that you have a lot of access to me, and I want to make sure that I answer as many questions as possible. So really, after this workshop, you're good to go and build an amazing portfolio that's going to get you roles. Rules. Yes, there are rules. So, first of all, please mute your mic. As I've mentioned several times, there will be times when we're talking all together. But for now, it's mostly me. I also want you to be active, polite to each other, and open minded. So, some of the information may land harsh. I also have an extremely direct communication style. Even though I'm not like, this is not how I hear it, but people keep on telling me that. And that's the feedback I must take, I guess, and must accept. So if I say something that doesn't land very like empathetically or kindly on you, please remember that I mean it from the best way and from the best perspective. So it's just more the communication style rather than I'm trying to kind of, hurt someone's feelings. This is something that I want to do with my life and with my time. I want to enable all of you to become better. There are people who come to my sessions, to my courses, to the conversations, and then they land jobs. They come back to me every day and share that. And so I know that there is a lot of power and knowledge that can make you stronger and better. But my delivery might need a little bit of polish. I will not disagree with that. Please, if you ask me questions at the end, ask me clear questions. So don't ask questions that I cannot understand what is it that you're asking. Like, ask yourself, is that clear? Is it straightforward? Can Lena answer that? And then ask. So we don't just go into like a long conversation where I'm trying to find out what is it that you're asking. And I want you to have fun and learn. So literally take screenshots, put the notes down, feel free to put the questions once again in the chat. I may not see questions in the chat all the time, but you can always come back to that question afterwards and kind of, help me to answer that for you. And I just want to make sure that you get the best out of this session. It's not for me, it's for you. But first we're gonna interact a little bit. So I'm putting the link to this Canva board in the chat. And I want you to join. Disclaimer, I never use Canva board on my session. So I see that you're joining. Okay, thank God it's working. Yay. I mean, I obviously tested it with myself. I promised you an icebreaker and I deliver on what I promised. So I want you to start answering these questions. I want us to understand who is the crowd and what's happening, and who is going to be basically kind of learning together with us. So each and every has one answer, so please start answering, like, what's your role? Are you a product designer, a user researcher, or other? If you are an other, you can leave a comment. Please leave it somewhere below the pool, so I also understand what kind of roles are here. As we move to the question two, it's going to be about the seniority. Seniority is also important for me just to understand basically, like afterwards, I'm going to be looking back and creating more and more content based on this session. So I can give them more targeted answers and more targeted content, more targeted advice. So please go ahead and basically share that with me. I also want to understand how many times you redesigned your portfolio. Like, this is the question and the topic that I'm discussing so often with the designers and researchers that say, like, this is basically a full-time job. So many people keep on doing that again and again and again. So I want to understand a little bit like what's been going on and like how you've been doing it. And I want to know what tools you're using, because I personally believe there are better tools to do your portfolio on, and there are not so good tools. And there is no right or wrong, but there are tools that support you. And this is why, for me, it was such an amazing way to partner with Framer, because I personally think Framer is the tool that truly supports you in your journey of creating beautiful portfolio that really showcases your visual skills, your flow, your understanding of design, and even for researchers, like having beautifully designed website definitely makes it much stronger. I can see a question that for someone the connection is breaking. So let me know if I'm breaking. Hopefully not. And I can see that there are 70 votes on the poll 3. So hopefully it's working. Okay, great. The pool might not be working just because it's a lot of people. So if it's not working right away, maybe give it a couple of minutes. So people who are finished, you can leave Canva. And this is how we test out. It's a stress test for Canva whiteboard, and we can definitely give some feedback to them. Okay, so we're gonna basically keep that for something that you can do on the background. And I want to start digging into portfolios. So overall, folks, just so you understand, we're gonna review 3 portfolios from Amazing Fox. Since you're already here, I believe that you can access the links as well. But overall, I would appreciate if you followed me and the way how I look at portfolios. As I said, I'm gonna share this board with all of you afterwards, and you can explore that more. You can see absolutely everything that I've shared. For now, whoever finished the pool, please leave the Canva board so we have a clean visual here for everyone else who's just following me. Okay, thank you so much. I see the number diving backwards. So I really appreciate how collaborative you are, folks. It's amazing. All right. So what we gonna do right now is we gonna start speaking about the portfolio number one. Portfolio number one is from Kate. So I'm very grateful to showcase Kate's work, because actually Kate was a person that I hired a couple of months ago for one of my clients, and I truly believe that Kate's work is very, very strong. So let us look at the Kate's portfolio as the hiring managers and recruiters basically looking at. So we start with the first impression. As we can see, it's built perfectly. So nothing is cut off. So it's not like, you know, like that, for example, that I see like on the half of the visual. No, it's a perfect first view. Does it matter? Yes, it does. It's really important how I see basically the landing page when I just land. It really kind of builds my experience as the user, and it showcases me what is it that you're looking at. Then this running line, I think this is literally awesome. Instead of making bullet points, instead of saying a lot of things about herself, she highlights basically in color, and with a kind of animation, all the things that describe her and all the things that she appreciates about her skills and experiences. I think that makes very strong impression that like she knows exactly what she's designing for, and it also gives me a lot of information that I'm looking for. I also really love that she says right away, I'm a product designer. I have a background in project management, productivity, travel, healthcare, and e-commerce. So if I'm hiring for one of those companies, healthcare, e-commerce, travel, I will know right away that this is my candidate. I don't need to dig through case studies to understand it. She already said it to me. It's very easy to read, and it's basically something that is extremely scannable. Then I want you to pay attention to the keywords, like, in those kind of brackets. This is like when you see me do that, this is what I mean, where it says senior product designer, 8 years of experience, and so on and so forth. I absolutely love when designers and researchers add this. I would potentially even go a step forward and not only add it to the portfolio, but also to add it to the case studies. 0 to 1, e commerce, travel, product design, whatever major keywords that really describe the case study to me. That what really helps me understand who they are, what they've done, what they've built, and what the strengths are. So just from here, I get so much information that they built for B2B, B2C, SaaS, and 0 to 1. This is perfect because the product that I was hiring for was B2B and 0 to 1. That was a strong hit. I also can see how many years of experience if my team is counting years of experience, which I think is a stupid practice that but still many companies do that. And I can also see that they are based in Amsterdam, which is also an excellent thing if I'm hiring for collocated. Now, let's look at the navigation app. To me personally and to my hiring managers, it's always a very big deal. How easy is it to find the information and navigate? I love that Kate really understands that case studies is number one thing why I come to her portfolio. So it's not look at my LinkedIn. She starts with the case studies. So I cannot skip it. I will come to the case studies right away. And it really shows me that she understands who the user of the portfolio is. I really love that she puts volunteering as a second part as well, because that speaks more about her personal interest, kind of the hobby, something that she really cares about. You can see the about, the resume. I love when designers add resumes and researchers on their portfolios. And by the way, if I say just designers, but there are researchers on the call, please forgive me. It's just for the time saving rather than I'm trying to exclude someone from this conversation. So having the resume definitely makes a lot of sense because I might want to see more details. And you can also see that resume is actually built in a very similar style with the colors as the portfolio, and you can see it like that when I show it. So just using this like easy red, so to say, color really kind of brings it all together. So if I was to give an advice that doesn't have to do anything with the portfolio, is that if you can design your CV in a very simple way, but adding like a pop of brand into it, that is a great way to do that, how Kate did that. And then, of course, LinkedIn and email, very straightforwardly, very, very easy. So now, as we move into the case studies, and this is what I'm going to do for each and every portfolio, I want to dive into one of the case studies and show you what I really love. first of all, that's the name of the case study, and I can see as well like the time frame when that was happening. I think this is pretty great because I can understand like how long term this project is, like, potentially the complexity, because if she's worked in the startup but this product took 2 or 3 years, like I'm already curious, like, what's been happening and
It
why hasn't it been taken so long. I can also see that she says built in a task card that works for everyone, so like a very easy name that I can digest quite well. And then from 0 to 1, so I can already see what's happening, crafting a flexible, scalable, and intuitive task card for productivity tool. The biggest lesson that I want you to take from all this wording is that A, it has to be super easy to understand. B, it needs to be short. And C, you need to put as many keywords as possible. So building, card, 0 to 1, flexible, scalable, intuitive. So all of those are keywords. We're really speaking about very strong UX here. And I think that shows a lot of understanding of, once again, what the users, aka recruiters and hiring managers, are looking for. I also want to bring your attention to these delightful interactions. When I bring my mouse, it changes like the color. I really love it. Like, this is like a small delightful moment that you might think does not make a difference, but to be honest, that also shows the attention to detail, especially to product designers. And this is just like a small interaction that truly kind of shows me that this person can build something very delightful on my product as well. So all of them are a little bit animated, and you can also see that all of them are built in the same brand colors that Kate chose for herself. So the same red color is on the CV basically, and the same red, I don't know, it's not red, but you understand, and the same color is here. So if we pay attention, we can see a couple of brand colors going on as the theme, but it's not like each and every case study has very different colors, and then I have to kind of dig through it and really kind of adapt my eye to everything. So it's all very well done. Now, as we go into the case study, we also land on a beautiful visual that also is animated, same name. And then Kate explains what she's done: how I designed a flexible, scalable, and user friendly core component on a productivity tool that adapts to any workflow. A little bit mouthful, but still full of very good buzzwords and keywords that I'm looking for. So definitely, that is a great experience for me to see that. Now, let's pay attention to this part because I want everyone since today have that thing in their case studies. Domain, I mean, instead of domain can be more like, a tenure or like my role or something like that. But still, this is pretty cool to say like, hey, that product was in productivity, timeline, the role, and also the team. And I really love how the team is shown as well. Once again, a small kind of delightful interaction that I think just really kind of, it's fun. And if you are digging through a lot of portfolios day by day, what hiring teams do, you would really appreciate that thing. So then we get the context. And then what I really love, and that's what I tell to a lot of researchers specifically, because a lot of designers would have a lot of visuals to put in the case study, but not so many researchers potentially. Or sometimes the visuals are really low quality and you don't want to overwhelm your case study with visuals. So if you still want to add a little bit of life and color to your case study, these kind of components are a great way to highlight your text and really make sure that there is still some like breadth and color and some visualization without the visuals per se. So this is a great example how you can do that. Also using some of the icons, for example, in your case studies, this is something that is great. And so as we showcase the problem, Kate says that the task card dilemma, design in the heart of task management. So afterwards, I can already go and dive into the user needs. You can also see that Kate is playing around with different sizes of the fonts, different colors of the fonts. She doesn't overwhelm me, but she still makes sure that it catches my eye. And this is something that you really need to remember, that it's extremely important to just not make it as like a wall of text, but play around. So when I scroll, I really see what is it that you're trying to tell me. What I really love as well, as she's talking about the user needs, she's really breaking it down. So, like one, two, three, four, and she changes the location of the visual and the text. Once again, we don't want to bore the user. So, that is a great way to kind of, interact a little bit with the recruiter and the hiring manager and show some of the interesting things basically that you made. Now, here, user interviews. Many designers and researchers from the user interviews, literally, like the amount of ugly visuals that I get when we talk about research is insane. And this is where the direct style of the communication comes in. But I don't want to see your research briefs. I don't want to see your sticky notes. I don't want to see any of those things. What I want to understand, what is it that you came up with? What is the key insight, so to say? How many users you've interviewed? So this is a great way to visualize that in giving me very little text, but still giving me a lot of information with that thing. So, like 12 out of 10 interviews prefer to say within the context and view the entire hierarchy of the complex task. So, not only she tells me how many interviews she had, she also tells me how many chose that, and she also tells me what is the key insight of this effort. So, this is literally a beautiful representation of given information in a very easy and digestible manner. Now, I always say that if you show me some of the visuals, I need to be able to zoom in and see everything. And Kate did a really good job. So, yes, maybe when I zoom in so much, it's not super high quality, but I can still see word by word and I can really understand what was happening. Will I be diving in too much into that? No, but it's a very clean visual. And potentially, this visual wasn't from her process. She built that visual for me for this case study so I can scan it very easily and understand it extremely easily. So instead of giving me dirty visuals from like the workshops or something like that, sometimes I recommend to my clients to actually create those fake visuals that are extremely easy to scan. And once again, she says role based permission was an issue. Then calendar integration, similar way to showcase the insight, and then scalability, and we get something very interesting and very animated. So that's also another way to do that. And in Framer is super easy to build because you can basically really kind of interact with the website and like build the parts as you want. Then we go into explorations. You can see that Kate actually drew in a very cool way those wireframes. Honestly, this high quality drawn wireframe is not something that you see a lot in the case studies. So for me, that was already a really interesting way to showcase the work. It's very, very digestible. It's very easy to understand. And I love how Kate presents the pluses and minuses of each option. Using those simple emojis just makes it so easy for the reader to scan and understand. And what's really good about this pattern of text that she gives the name to the bullet point and then explains. Name explains, name explains. So when I scan, I would actually read only bold text, and that's what she's given me the opportunity to do as well. Then, final decision. What did we decide and why? She says it's going to be the right one, and this is why. Super easy once again. And you see, we again highlighted in this like special visual kind of bracket to really bring my attention. So even if I scroll by seeing the change of the color, I will definitely come back to that. And then we can see how Kate is talking about the interaction. I personally thought the way how she explained iteration cycles were brilliant, honestly, because we always, like many design teams and hiring managers say, don't tell me about all your iteration cycles because it just gets so dirty in portfolios. But we say, tell me about something kind of, like what was leading you from one iteration cycle to another. But what Kate does, she explains like the key advantages and the disadvantages of which. So literally, she wouldn't need to build anything on top of it. Like she can go with this case study into the interview process and explain everything, and then she gives the final result as well. So I thought it was in a beautiful way. She also gives the feedback. And once again, if we do zoom in, we can see all the feedback. So this is great way to represent how like the high quality visuals can be still small, but as you zoom in, you can see absolutely everything and the quality saves or stays pretty okay, and then we go into the final design. Now, folks, this representation of the final design elements that you brought and like then explaining it here is absolutely brilliant. I have never seen a case study that like when the hiring team does not like it. This is the most user friendly way to showcase what the changes were made, how you changed the changes, and basically how they showed up in the final design. So please take the notes, take screenshots. This is exactly how we love to see our case studies. And look how beautiful. Look at this interaction. I scroll and I see all these things, but the visual stays on the same level. Isn't it amazing? Small things, but those things that what matters, and that what shows that Kate is an amazing designer. And now we're refining every step of task editing. So we go and kind of see how she's designing and iterating. Animated prototypes are an amazing tool for that. When I see animated prototypes in portfolio, most likely you are a senior designer because most senior designers. And now impact. Yes, we want to make the text bolder, bigger. We want to have different color because we want to make sure that no one scrolls through our impact. We want to make sure that we catch the eye. Yes, Lana, but why do we need to bring attention to the impact? They need to be spending time. Yes, you're right. But the world is not a perfect place. People have very little time. People have thousands of applicants. There is like a mass craziness on the job market. And that's why you, as a designer, must make sure that I will see the most important things in your portfolio. And Kate does it beautifully. So even if we scroll through the case study, boom, you cannot miss it. And this is genius. And then, of course, she gives me the learnings. Please add the learnings if you are a senior plus designer. If you're junior and if you're mid level, still add the learnings. And that's what makes you seem more senior in your case studies. Learnings and reflections is really the best closing that you can have for all your case studies. And so that was the portfolio number one. I'll have to speed up if I want to go through everything, but I really want to give you all the juicy details because I think it's so important for you to basically see absolutely everything. Now, the second portfolio is Emmanuel's portfolio. I honestly thought it was like piece of art when I saw it for the first time. I absolutely love that. So many people ask me like what is the best style for the landing page, and I think there is no right or wrong answer, but like when we think about Kate's portfolio, like white background, this like nice red pinkish color, a little bit of this like blue lilac color. Emmanuel has this like black background, very like clean design, very sleek. So to be honest, just by looking at it, I could already start imagining that Emmanuel has something to do with Fang. A lot of Fang portfolios would have a lot of black and white colors like to them to really make this like very sleek impression of the design. I really love that Emmanuel says like I design user friendly, and look at that, look at that, look at that small interaction. How fun! Necessarily, absolutely not. Will I hire Emmanuel for this thing? No. Do I like him better? Yeah, absolutely. You know, like that makes a lot of difference. And he says, I design user friendly products at scale. Look at that. Look at that. How cool is that? Why not use that? You know how many portfolios have that interaction? Almost none. Like by adding those small, delightful things, you will bias me to like you much better. Okay, so scale with the highest craft standards, and we already see some of the tools basically that Emmanuel is using. What I really love about this portfolio is that Manuel gives just like a small outlook of like basically his like visual or the picture, the name, the title, the location, and also I can see what is the time. We're in London. Kind of fun. Necessary? No, don't care, but kind of fun. So maybe like if I want to hire Emmanuel, but I'm sitting in Los Angeles, I'm like, if I was to call Emmanuel right now, what time is gonna be? I'm like, oh, it's gonna be 17:34 for him, and I can see what time is it for me. And then we can see LinkedIn and email. This is all I need to know about Emmanuel. Like, this is really good way to show the work. And now off we go. So I told you that by the style, I mean, of course, I've seen this portfolio, but even if I didn't see it, I could tell that like Emmanuel actually had something to do with Meta, and indeed he does. Then we can also like, go into case studies and see details. I really like this like liquid glass, see details. Kind of visual. Is it necessary or not? But like, this is what everyone is talking about. So Emmanuel shows me that he understands trends and he's on top of them. And I really like that he keeps everything once again. So like, when you open it, you can see all of that and perfect ending of the visual. He also shows me that he's built for desktop and mobile right away. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that he tells me, hey, I done cross device product design. Like, I understand those things. This is a very smart way to showcase the strength. And then off we go. We get a little bit once again into like who Emmanuel is. He showcases again complex problems, and we see scale here. So we're like, okay, complex product problems at scale. He has strong product thinking, and once again, guys, like, you need to understand portfolios are your documents. You can speak about anything that you want in your portfolios. So Emmanuel decides to use all the words, keywords that he will see in the job descriptions as like top requirements from product designers. He's using the same language in his portfolio to talk to me and to tell me, hey, this is what it's going to be about, and like, this is who I am. And once again, some fun interactions. He likes AI tools, he loves to code, and he mentor designers. You know how I read it so quickly? Because he highlights those words for me. Because to be honest, when I start going into portfolio, I would just do this. And so when you showcase something with a bigger kind of visual, that really helps me see that. Also, I thought this introduction video was an amazing idea. Will I see the whole thing? No. But will I click it? Absolutely. I love it. And then you can see like kind of, what else is going on with the manual, the experience. So we have like a little bit of experience of the CV here with all the brands and stuff. Look how beautifully it's done. Look how all the like the yellow here and the yellow here, kind of, the white, and like then a little bit of the easier kind of, gray. Like, just the branding of the portfolio is so strong that I making sense that Emmanuel definitely has some good visual skills. And so you can also see some like call to action here that you can like see the work on mentorship. And so I would like to go and see some of the case studies. So we start with the first one, because I, as the recruiter, tend to believe that the first case study is your strongest and most interesting and maybe most recent work. So think about how you put as well your case studies. You shouldn't start with with the oldest work. You shouldn't start with the worst work. Your first case study is the case study that will get most of traction. I can guarantee that to you. All right, so let us see. Basically, Emmanuel says that retaining Fortune 500 clients with Studio. That's what he's done. In 2023, Workplace by Meta was an important play in the business communication product market, serving almost a quarter of Fortune 500 products. So that's the context that helps me understand. I can also see the product, so that is very, very useful. And now Emmanuel gives me the role. Once again, the focus. So you might remember Kate has similar things for the case study, gives the context, gives a little bit of the feedback, and off we go. Kind of, we see some of the visuals. So what I like is that I see what it is and the year. What I don't like is that I don't get much context. And yes, by the way, it is critique sessions. So I'm going to also say what I don't like necessarily about those super strong portfolios that I know land lots of interviews. So basically, diving into the visuals right away this way is potentially not the best way to really kind of showcase what's been happening. So I would have potentially liked more to see your approach rather than going through a lot of designs right away as well. However, this is like the way how Emmanuel builds their storytelling. I love that he follows up with the highlights section. So, like, hey, the highlights of this project was that I led the team of designers. sequence roadmap and prioritize relentlessly. I think this is really cool because honestly, this part really tells me that Emmanuel is a very senior designer because prioritizing and road mapping is something that I want to dig in and understand. Have you done it? And not only he says, I've done it, he says, I've done it ruthlessly, like all the time. And he also says who he partnered with. So I think it's a very strategic way what he says in his portfolio to give me context. Because once again, your portfolio is your space where you speak. Then he created a bridge between 2D and mixed reality products, expanding the scope and got it ready to be used internally by Mark Zuckerberg. So what he does very well, he name drops, obviously. So he shows his importance in this project. And so if you worked with C-level stakeholders, if you worked with founders, with VPs or something like that, it always makes sense to name drop or title drop in your case study. And so afterwards, we can copy him. Once again, look at that. How cool. If you're a hiring manager, contact me for the full case study. So it's not the full case study. And this is awesome. Leanna, how can I show my work if it's under NDA? Leanna, how can I show my work if I need to be there to present it? This is how you can do it. You tell me a little bit what the case study was about. Then afterwards, you show me a little bit of the product. Once again, I don't love that there is very little explanation to the visuals. So for me, that's kind of like a disadvantage of that approach. But then afterwards, he really shares the highlights and then says, if you want to see more, just contact me. And you can copy email. Also, super cool interaction. That like if I click on the email, it always leads me into Apple emails. I don't use it. I don't know what you guys use it, but I'm on the Gmail. I find it so frustrating. I like you do not know, and you cannot imagine how many portfolios I see. So for me, that's a broken UX. But this is perfect. This is literally, this is how I know that Emmanuel thinks about UX in the depth that potentially my clients are looking for. And then of course I can look into LinkedIn. So this is the showcase number 2 of how it could be. Now, Natasha, and that's gonna be a little bit quicker. Very different style, once again, maybe a little bit closer to what Kate had. But basically, we can see right away that Natasha is open to work. Basically, we can see a little bit who Natasha is. And it's interesting because Kate didn't have a picture to her. Emmanuel had a very small picture, as you might remember, like on top, which is also more. Oh, I didn't even know that. How fun. Um, and then Natasha has also something very small. So those who read my post, I always say huge hero image. So most of the portfolios that are open, this part would be just the face of a person. I'm like, yes, it is your space, but is it the point to show me how you look like, or is it the point to showcase your work? So I want everyone to think about what is important for me as a recruiter when I land in your portfolio. And of course, what's really interesting for me is like who you are, what you've done, how to get in touch with you, see your portfolio, and then get into your work right away. Something that I would critique a little bit on Natasha's work here. Remember, I was telling you how perfectly the visuals of the first case study fit in. So you can see it's a little bit cut here. Yes, it's a small detail, but I pay attention to those things because that also shows that you kind of tested it on different screens and different experiences and you thought about that. I really love that Natasha shows me the stack. So instead of potentially using like an immense amount of space on the CV and saying, these are the tools that I can be working with, she just made this like running line and shows me what she can be working with. She says that she's a friendly digital product designer. And I love the word friendly here because it kind of like works well with the color. Does it give me a lot of context? No. So if I was to criticize, I would say that for me to know that you are B2B designer, B2C designer, 0 to 1 designer, product designer, brand designer, user researcher is much more important than to know that you are a friendly person, because that's what I'm coming for here to show a little bit more about your work. All right, so let us see what is great about it. So first of all, we have some nice visuals, and I kind of understand a little bit more about what the product is. So Napa Breeds campaign, French's, and its marketing campaign and landing pages for the UK pant ensures high profit breeds. And I love that right away Natasha gives me some of the high impact, sorry, metrics. So that is a great conversation starter for me because I'm like, okay, those metrics are very strong. Will I ever know that those are real numbers? No. And most likely, if you lie about metrics, no one will ever find out. People say they can. I don't think they can. But I do care that she's speaking about it. That means that she understands that if she's a growth designer, because she's talking about landing pages and acquisition and conversion. So that gives me a little bit of understanding that potentially she works with growth. That basically shows me that she understands that I will be looking at some of the impact. Don't hold me accountable. I mean, some hiring managers potentially can see that you're lying about the metrics, but most likely you will get away by saying 40% and not 60 or something like that. Okay, so now we see some context. Basically, a little bit of a criticism here. No one will ever read that. It's too much. It's wall of text kind of thing. So I would rather suggest you do something like Kate and Emmanuel did. So maybe like the bullet points or some of the frames. So really give me kind of the information more structured and sectored. And also, I want everyone to encourage to use all the time the titles and headers and subheaders. So context at Napa, as Napa began reducing its reliance on price comparison website for new leads, I was tasked to straighten our sense funnel. So like that's the context of the case study. So I really understand what's happening. Yes, three sentences is the wall of text because I'm not here to read, I'm here to scan. And honestly, take it or leave it, right? Like I'm not here to lie to you how the process is going. Most people and hiring managers to get the first impression of your case study would go like that. And so whatever you bring my attention to, I will see it right away. So this is why these are really kind of this is a fair review. And using less text and more visualized text will increase your chances for success. So love this part. This is really, really good. Love the challenge, the result, the conversion, really great. And once again, Natasha's using reverse storytelling. So we will talk a little bit more about that. But reverse storytelling is when you say, that's the context. That's what was happening. That's the impact that I've produced. And only then she goes into the process and approach and research and all of those things. I personally believe that reverse storytelling is much better than when you explain absolutely everything about your case study and only then reach the results. But it also depends how long your case study is. So you might remember Kate's case study, it wasn't that long. So her keeping the results for the end didn't feel like a miss to me at all. But if it's a long 20 scrolls case study, then potentially keeping business impact on top is much better. Now, I love what I'm seeing here as well because I can really kind of get the sense of the campaign. It fits really well, in my personal opinion, with the background. So I kind of see, like, that Natasha really has a good understanding of how colors work together and things like that. Now, process, research, analysis, ideation, and workshop. I really love that she uses the headers and subheaders once again, and then it's up to you how you can be going after. Don't love this visual, honestly, because first of all, I would like for this visual to have the header. So, like, what is this visual? What has it done? Like, what is it about? And also, it's kind of a little bit dirty. So, I don't know how you feel about it, but I personally always get this feeling that me and my hiring managers feel that that kind of decreases the overall impression about the visual skills of the designer. So, I would rather see the key insights section rather than all these kind of stickies and all of those things and how it's been happening. Now we get into some fun i- kind of animations, and I think that also makes a really cool impression on the website because, like, at this point we got a little bit static, And so now that we're in the second part of the case study, she gives us some movement and once again brings a lot of life into the case study. And so she shows basically like, the assets, the parts that she's built and developed and launched. And then afterwards, she also kind of, specifies a little bit more about the visual design and style guide and gives herself the praise as well. What would have made this case study much better is the learnings and reflections at the end. Because to be honest, when you finish with that, it's not necessarily where, you don't get a feeling of the finished case study with the praise. So I think when the designer reflects on what's been done well and what they take into the next level, onto the next role, onto the next project, it's always great. And I really love how she gives me the opportunity to go to the new like the actual website and really we also see some of the visuals that we saw in the case study, which is pretty cool because it feels familiar. We're like, oh yeah, I saw those cute little dogs already. So let me see how this website is actually working. So this is really, really good experience because I personally sometimes am very interested to see what is the final kind of, product of the efforts. Okay, so I am really behind the time. Folks, I see that you're dropping a lot of questions in the chat. And as I told you, there's going to be a Q&A I'm going to be answering. There is no way I can be like presenting the case studies and answering the questions simultaneously. Sometimes I see and it works, but I won't be able to do that as we go. So the first portfolio that I promised you, I want to actually check one of the portfolios from you. So whoever is first, can drop the portfolio and I will go right away and show you how the first impression. Okay. So Tammy is first, first comes, first serve. Let us see the first impression. All right, cool. So first of all, I love that. This is really nice for sure. I love the combination of colors. Once again, is everyone seeing what I'm seeing? Yes, we're in the portfolio. Okay, very very cool. So I can see already like the style, kind of like the branding. So this is really cool. I like this, like this is very modern part. I really like the mouse. I like on my website I have the same mouse like the as the circle. I think it's pretty cool. We can see the Tammy is using very similar thing that Kate was using, right? So like that's definitely like a strong thing for me. I really really appreciate that. Tammy is very clear who she is, who they are. Sorry, that's definitely not the way to go. And I'm a senior product designer based in Canada with over 10 years of experience in end-to-end UX UI design. So, no, let me criticize you for that. You already said that you're a product designer. So saying that you are end-to-end UX UI, that's like the same thing, like why are we saying the same thing? So like this is the space where you need to tell me like what is it that you designed it for? Like is it health tech, is it fintech, is it 0 to 1, is it startups, is it corporates, whatever it is. So this is the keywords that I'm looking for. I don't like that you say graphic design here as well, and now I'm going to explain why. There is a little bit of a stigma of a graphic design in product design. So I personally think people who come from graphic design are excellent product designers now because everyone is saying that visual design needs to be very, very strong. And guess what? Graphic designers really know how to design visually. But I wouldn't necessarily say that you have 10 years of experience in graphic design. You can say that your background comes from graphic design. But unless this is like the most important part about your experience, use this space more strategically. So, what are the roles that you're going after? Like, what is it that they want to see from you? This is what you should be putting here. So, everything is really, really good up till here. And then I want to see a more industry related, product related, projects related information. So very, ooh, don't you love it? Look at those sparkles. How, like, I love it. Like, this is really cool. And this is, I can promise you that this is exactly the reaction that you're gonna be getting as well. If I was to criticize something, is definitely like what I see in my first frame. So potentially, making this space a little bit smaller so I can see those eyes like that in the first frame would be perfect. So if this is the first frame that I see, that would be much better because it kind of like also creates a lot of curiosity in me to scroll down. Otherwise, this is my first frame. It looks very cut off. I understand it's a very small detail. Don't get me wrong. But this is something that I would potentially do if I was to build a portfolio right now. So, home, works, snippets, resume. I love snippets. That kind of creates a lot of curiosity in me. Lots of people ask me like how many case studies they should have. I say 2 to 3 max. Honestly, I will never check more than 3. I don't care. And don't get me into like choice fatigue as well because I'm tired. I've seen hundreds of them today. So snippets, what I would imagine what Tamara is going to give me is like the show reel of some of the other projects that I can assess a little bit better, like the kind of like the complexity, the type of projects, and maybe the visual design, but not to go too much in depth. So if that's what it is, yes, I love this. This is exactly how you can show more with less case studies. And this is a great way. The only thing what I would recommend here specifically for Tamara, less is more. So to be honest, like this gives me a lot of like very brand design, very like digital, very kind of art direction. We see some personas. I don't know if that creates the same strong impression on me as your landing page. So your landing page created a better first impression in me. And I want you to be careful with what you give. And sometimes less is more. Oh yeah, I love it. Okay, but that kind of makes sense because you're like, I'm marketing, I'm print, I'm UI design, I'm social media, I'm UX design. Definitely makes sense. But then you call yourself a product designer. So I and that's an interesting part because like so many people are kind of confused about like what title should I be using, like how I should be presenting myself, because a lot of people are hybrid profiles indeed. So for now, Tamara, you created an impression in me that you are a freelancer or contractor. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, cool. So that is great because usually freelancers and contractors have like breadth of experience and they indeed move from product to brand and so on and so forth. I would love to see it here. I'm a freelance senior product designer working across web, digital, print, marketing, blah, blah, blah. So give me those words here as well, right? So like now I kind of understand why you put graphic design here. But there is a much better way to kind of wrap it up for me so it's a little bit more clear. So this is really, really cool. Drag me. Fun. You see? You see? This is what I call a cool wow. Okay. Tamara, let me know if I can use your portfolio for my LinkedIn post. I think this is awesome. Honestly, like you should be an inspiration for all the freelance folks. This is really, really beautiful. Okay. And so off we go into the latest work. Oh, you see, Tamara knows what is important. Some of the keywords in those things 2024 to 2025, event technology, SaaS, love it. Architect web, love it. Architect SaaS, marketplace web. Like it's perfect. And only 4 case studies, not too much, but also enough for me to understand what Tamara has done. And I can see more work here. So, really, really good so far. Let us go into one of the case studies. 4 Waves website builder redesign. Okay, so that's a redesign, but very clear. Oh, I have a similar star in my website. So the year is very clear. Okay. It kind of did we see it kind of didn't load well, but maybe that was like a bug. So okay, I don't know, Tamara, if you're following me or if you like just that good. But this is perfect. This is really good. So year, role, industry, team as well. So perfect thing. Like this is literally everything that I need to know from here. And then of course, like a little bit of like who this company is about. So let us go. Okay, so an overview, the problem. Event organizers can create their own event websites where users can register. So, to my liking, it's a little bit too small. I'm on the half screen, so maybe that's just my experience. But and this is not the criticism for this specifically. But be careful with making font too small. Like always think about accessibility from that perspective as well. The existing website builder offered limited functionality. So goal. If I was to say what could be better about it, I would like you to make some things bigger so it catches my eye once again. So, like, the problem and, like, maybe some words, or, like, something needs to be highlighted. So, like, it's a little bit more digestible if I do decide to scroll, if that makes sense. Is it asking for too much? Yes, but we're not here to make good portfolios. We're here to understand how to make amazing portfolios, right? And so that's something that would help you. So the goal is online here, research results and insights, feedback gathering with God. Okay. Yes, very good. I don't I don't love that this one is a different size. Visually, it doesn't make sense much because this thing is empty. So maybe consider how to, maybe you can put them all in the middle so they all the same size and go one by one. I don't think this is like the best kind of visual representation here. Once again, just being very, very critical, but something that I'm seeing. Okay, multiple columns, sponsored logo spacing. Yeah. I look, and do you see that we have a little bit of like Kate's portfolio thing here that, like, it's kind of distributed also like in different parts. So you go in that thing, kind of entertain the users. Okay, I really don't love this visual at all. It's cut, dirty, and for me, that's a no go. Like, make sure that you don't have it. So if it is cut, then cut it here. So it creates like a um, clean visual outlook. Competitive analysis, iterations. Unless I can understand what's happening in each iteration, it's too much. So remember what Kate did. So okay, I see. Yeah, no, I would recommend not do that. This is overwhelming. That's a lot of information. It's scroll, so I cannot stop it, and I also cannot see what exactly you're iterating upon. So instead of doing this, I would like to tell you we had 6 iterations or like 2 iterations, and these were the key things why we had to keep on iterating and what we iterated on. And then release, same reusable components. Yes, once again, not the best visual. So that creates a little bit of a dirty outlook of your case study, to be honest. I would be very, very careful here. If you have the file to the design systems or something, just like do like, you can check reusable components here, and that's the link. And then if I want to, I go. Absolutely not to those kind of things. So like this lots of big, like small visuals. And to be honest, like Figma organization is not necessarily potential what I'm very interested in. So don't forget that there are like more important things about your story and less important things. Yes, learnings. And I really love these. This is really great. And then you go into other works. Cool. Tamara, thank you so much. It's definitely a really, really good portfolio. The case study needs a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of strengthening, but I think you're in such a good spot already. And I can definitely see how you're gonna be getting like interviews already with this portfolio. And so that brings us to the second part of our workshop, and that's going to be a very, very quick. That's basically everything that we already discussed. I want you to understand do's and don'ts portfolios, basically, and let me run through it. So, in terms of tech, make sure that it loads very quickly. Honestly, when I see that the portfolio is loading for minutes and hours and whatever, like it's a no. Like, I will not be sitting and waiting for, and it's not like I'm rejecting people for portfolios that don't load, but when it takes 10 seconds to load, my impression of you as a designer is already much worse than it could have been. So think about it, because well, it's the same as if you go into product and it takes forever to load. Do you like it? It's the same. Optimize images. So make sure that your images are high quality, they're not too big, and basically just make sure or make sense for the work that you show. Mobile responsiveness. So it doesn't have to be perfect on mobile. There are like lots of people say that they check portfolios on the mobiles. Do I? No, don't care. I'm sorry. When I'm on the go, I'm not working. I'm not going to be checking portfolios while I'm walking. But there are hiring managers who commute and do that on the metro, for example, and things like that. And that's why it's important. Update, so you want to make sure that you use the tool that helps you to update your portfolio in minutes. You can polish very quickly without developer, and once again, delightful interactions and motion design. Like we saw so much today. Like how cool, how beautiful was that? How cool was that I could move things in in Tamara's portfolio. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous, honestly. Then navigation. Make sure that it's super easy. Your work needs to be findable in one click. It needs to be clear with information architecture. Once again, make sure that your landing page doesn't cut too much of the visual, right? So like if we land on something, it needs to make sense. It's easy to go from one case study to another, and there is a potential a progress bar if it's a long case study. Content. So how many case studies? Ideally, two, three, four, not more. So like four is the max that I want to see. It needs to be scannable. So once again, play around. Like go back to your graphic designer roots, potential visual designer. Like make it bigger, make it like different color. Make the pop of colors on the background. Make it clear outcomes on top. So make sure that everything is basically digestible from the very very beginning. You also want to make sure that whatever can be smaller is smaller. So instead of like writing three paragraphs of text or even three sentences, make three bullet points. It's much more scannable. Visuals that tell the story without reading, but they still need the names. It's extremely important. So make sure that the names are there. So like you see in here this and that. This visual showcases this and that. And this is the way how you can build your case study: problem, approach, solution, impact. So don'ts, no PDFs. I'm sorry, like no, just no. I don't want to see PDFs of portfolios. And there are like you can use tools like Canva. You can use other tools that you can create like a deck and share it as a link. But super heavy PDFs, like this is ridiculous. Like I honestly don't understand why we're still in this situation. Slow loading sites. So like that's also a big no go. Sites that break on mobiles. I don't care. Hiring managers care. Hiring managers hire you. So make sure. And also there are so many people who send Figma prototypes as if that's a portfolio. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, there's no explanation, no whatsoever. That's not a portfolio. Please don't do that. Then navigation dawns. Mystery navigation. Like I have no idea where I'm going. I'm not going to be showing you bad portfolios. Maybe I make a session and show you some bad publicly available portfolios because, oh my God, there is a lot. And honestly, like sometimes it's just like scary because I have no idea in which forest I am and how to get out of it unless I just close it. Clever namings, like I mean, my journey is still okay, about is still okay, but don't do something that you don't think that I see it for the first time and now I understand. Hamburger menu, like let's leave it in 20, whatever. I don't even think it's something in the last decade. So, no. Can find work easily or password protected work and I cannot reach. It's a no go. Now, content, walls of text. Yes, three long sentences is already a wall of text. So, if you see a lot of text, it's a no go. No one is going to read it, make it scannable. No clear outcomes, all personal projects. If I don't see actually something that you've built in the production, there's no way we're going to be having a conversation. Last case study from years ago. Some people like, oh yeah, but that's the most interesting work. I don't care. Show me something also recent because I want to see what is the visual that you are working on, like the visual craft that you have, and what is the complexity. Like I want to see recent work. Only landing pages all work under NDA. Today we saw how to really grab the interest from the reviewer and then say, hey, if you want a full case study, you can ask me. 22 scrolls case studies. Like, I don't want to go crazy and continue scrolling. So like make sure that it's not too big, too overwhelming. If your case study is taking you like 45 minutes to present, it's too big. You will have 20 minutes per case study to present. So that also shouldn't take too much space in actually visualize it. Six generic case studies. Please go away from the visual so everyone can see what's written there. Six generic case studies. Also, really hard to kind of digest, really hard to understand. So please don't do that. And then huge blurred images. It's definitely a no go. Just don't want to see those things. Now, folks, wow, I'm so behind the time. I'm so sorry. And I promise I will be quick and maybe we can do like a follow up session on the questions afterwards. But I wanted to take my time to really dive into portfolio so you really see how it's happening basically on the other end. And I really hope that was useful. Now, what is the framework for the case study? Okay, Lena, you know how to criticize our work. Now tell us what is the good thing to do. I always call it a skeleton. Basically, in the skeleton of your case studies, folks, please get off the visual so everyone else can see that. I will invite you to the board afterwards when it's time to work on it together. So skeleton is basically the parts of the case study that you need to have. So in some of the case studies, like we saw today, for example, the skeleton could look different, and it's totally okay. But if you were to start building your case studies, I would suggest you to think about context. So set the scene. Product was this, company was this, role was that, responsibilities were that. What was the problem? Challenges that you needed to solve. Impact. Why it mattered in business case, in user stakes, and all of those things. Solutions that you came up. So, what basically you came up and approach how you tackled the things that you tackled. Execution is the design process, the iterations, the final outputs, and then reflections and learnings as we've seen. Now, you can ask me, or like basically, I highlighted solutions and approach as things that can be reversible. So you can use first approach and then show solutions, or show solutions and then show approach. If you put solution before impact, so when you speak solution before you kind of outline, sorry, not approach. What I'm trying to say that you can first speak about impact and then solution. How, for example, Natasha, so the last portfolio I did, or you can show me the visuals, the solutions like Kate did, and then tell me the impact. And so if you put solution first and then the impact, the story starts to create the narrative of here's the problem, here is what I did, and here's what changed. That's the way you build the narrative. Or you can say, this is the impact, and this is the solution that brought me to this impact. And then the story is going to feel here's the problem, here's why it mattered, here's the effect that it had. And now let me show you how I solved it. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense that you can say context, my role, then impact, solution, and blah, blah, blah. Or you can say context, my role, solution, impact, and blah, blah, blah. All right. So why we want to basically go with that approach? So we basically want to open with like the projects that only with the projects that matter. We want to keep the story hiring team friendly. So we want to keep it high level, but still give enough details. And that's where the skeleton that I'm presenting you with helps. Do I care about all the Figma files? No. But do I care about, like high level steps? Absolutely. And you close with reflections that signal your maturity. Now, prompts that you can use to ask yourself how you're going to build your case studies. So, for context, what was the product or the company or the situation that I was a part of? Who were the users or the stakeholders? What was my role? So, when you ask yourself those things, you can start putting things on the piece of paper, in whatever doc, and this is how you start building your case studies. So ask yourself those questions to set up the context part of the case study. Now, to clarify the problem, you should ask yourself, what challenges was I solving? Why did it matter in terms of business and user needs? How did I know that it was the right problem to solve? Back in the days when I was hiring for Miro, we not only cared a lot about solution, but we cared how did you know that that was the right problem to solve? So that's how you can clarify to me as the hiring team that you knew it was the right problem to solve. Impact. What changed? Metrics, outcomes, or feedback. Yes, Lena, but I don't have the hard feedback. I don't know the metrics. I know. I hear it every day, believe me. So, what I want you to tell, maybe the feedback that the user gave you, or we simply could work faster, or we delivered more in less time. That's also impact. Or we finally got unblocked, or we finally launched that product. It's all impact. So, don't get too hung up on those hardcore details. Solution: what direction did I choose? Why? Why did I choose A versus B solution? Why? How did I arrive there? So that's a great prompt to ask yourself. Approach: a lot of different suggestions. What was the specific role in this project? What was my specific role? Which decisions did I personally influence versus influencing the team? Because everyone is like, oh, but you need to be humble. Yes, but I want to know what you led in the project and what your team led in the project. So that what really helps you to kind of separate that. That's the prompt. What was your plan? Research, quick prototype, stakeholder workshop, whatever that was. Explain me very quickly in like bullet points, basically. What trade offs did you have to make and how did you decide? Guys, about trade offs, this is a very common question, especially if you talk with product folks. So, if you talk about trade offs in your case study, this is what shows me that you have a strong product sense. So, if you want to show your product thinking, trade offs is the part that you should be adding to your case study. How did you collaborate with others? PM, engineers, researchers, stakeholders. I guess it's clear why it's important. And did I adapt or change the course and why? Because some case studies may not be only about things that went right, but things that didn't go right. And it's totally okay to show that in the case studies, but keep your narrative straight. And then execution. What were the key steps in the design process, research, iterations or something, and visual artifacts that support the story, but high quality, high resolution, and with the naming. So I understand exactly what it is. And then reflection: what worked well, what didn't work well, what would I do differently, what are the transferable insights or skills that I bring to that project. I'm sure it was a lot of overwhelm for everyone. I apologize for speaking so much, but this is why I put so much information into those sessions. I want to give you as much as I want to, as I can. So we can do it two ways. And this is your session, so you can decide. Oh, thank you guys. I love you too. This is so nice. Um, you can go into Slido and put your questions in the Slido, or I saw a lot of questions in the chat already, so you can just unmute yourself and ask the questions. I think Slido is a little bit more inclusive way to do that. So I personally would recommend doing Slido. So you can just click on the link, and basically that's gonna lead you to it, I believe. And can you then leave the questions there? Is it working for everyone? Can someone let me know if the Slido is working? Yes, perfect. The first question: can I share recording by email? Absolutely. I will share everything. So, what additional recommendations would for a leadership level portfolio? I love that. So, for leadership, you shouldn't be talking about necessarily the designs that you delivered only. Leadership portfolio should have couple of case studies that are focusing on product design work and one leadership case study. So I hired someone, I brought research in our organization, I separated brand and product, whatever that is. So, like, I want something like that. And in leadership case studies, you don't tell me what you delivered, you tell me how you enabled the work to be delivered. So many leaders say, yeah, but how can I show you my design work? I don't design. I understand that you don't design, but you sign off design work. So whatever was actually delivered, it's still your design quality and you enabled your teams to deliver that. So I want to see how you enabled them to do that. Notion portfolios. I really hope that Notion is not going to ban me, honestly, because I would love to work with them. I don't like Notion portfolios. I don't like them. I think they are like, so if you asked me that a couple of weeks ago, I would say hard no, hard no. But then I was having one of the sessions and someone showed me insane Notion portfolio. And honestly, if you can design that Notion portfolio, go ahead and I will share with you the link. But unless you can do it the same way, don't do it. Because I don't think that, especially for product designers, it's a hard no. But if you can make it work this way and look this way, sure, go ahead. Matteo, please add your question to this Slido so we can go through that.
The question is too long.
Okay, the question is still on. Okay, go ahead since you unmuted yourself already.
Sorry, quick one. So the first case study that you showed us was about for one component, right? That card that girl designed beautifully. What if you have worked on a project end to end, for example, for an e-commerce? You've done PLP, PDP, basket, checkout, and my account section. How do you structure a very big case study like that?
Very good question. It depends on your narrative, right? So, like Kate's question was like, hey, this is the component that I delivered. Your narrative can be, hey, I came into the product and I had to deliver 0 to 1. And then I would like to understand like the bigger impact of all these features that had on the product, like where it brought you in terms of revenue, where it brought you in terms of the competition. So instead of going like extremely granularly on all these features, I would rather have more like strategic case study out of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
What if my project doesn't have a clear number based impact? How can I present it? Well, I mean, I honestly hope that I answered this question. Like I said it so many times. User feedback, team feedback, just faster work of you as the team. Like we worked faster, we delivered more, we launched the product. That's already impact. It doesn't have to be hardcore number. So don't worry about that. It's still the impact. What are your thoughts on UX generalist portfolio? Sorry, are you seeing the same? What are your thoughts on UX generalist portfolio? Someone who has done interaction design, visual design, research, and so on and so forth. It's not UX generalist, it's a product designer. So whatever titles were before, now product designer title means end-to-end product design, which starts with what is it that we're going to build, or like what is it the problem that we're going to try and to solve, because we don't know what the problem is, and then to the highest level of visual execution, then you launch, then ideally you test, and then you iterate. So that's a product designer. So I recommend everyone to start using product designer title instead of strategic UX generalist with research skill. Honestly, I like, don't try to explain everything that you do in your title. Product design is a great way to go. Do you have any tips for multidisciplinary designers? Would it be better to create different sections of work, UX, motion, branding? So this is a really good question, and it's really about positioning. So positioning, like you can position yourself as a hybrid designer, but what is it that the roles that you're going after? So like, are roles that you're going after asking for all of those skills? Because I would recommend highlighting top skills for the top roles that you're going after. So for example, you're a product designer that you're also really good at motion and branding. Let's do it this way. But the role that you're going after, like really looking for super strong product design, and maybe there's gonna be some branding involved. So I would rather for you to build your portfolio really focusing on product design work and have a show reel of other work based on branding and motion. So that is the better way. But your narrative of your portfolio is that you are a product designer that also has passion and hybrid skills in branding and motion. Does it make sense to everyone? Is it clear? Okay, very good. Do you look for anything different when reviewing your Excel portfolio compared to reviewing your XC portfolio? Anything your Excel should focus more on instead? Not really. So it's basically the same thing. So if we go here into the skeleton, let me open it for you here. Context is basically, I mean, what was the project and why you brought into the project. Problem, you would still explain basically what the project was about. Impact, um, solution and approach. So like your approach would be kind of very different, because that's where I would like you to spend some time and explain which methodologies, why was it the right choice of methodologies basically for this specific project. In execution, you would say, okay, as a methodology, I decided to go for user interviews because it was faster. We could reach users very like easily. It was cheaper. Blah blah blah. My PM could also do interviews with me, so we decided to do that. And so in the execution part, maybe I would like to know a little bit more kind of, like we sat down and asked three key questions, and these were the three key insights of these questions. So what researchers do a lot in their portfolios, which no one likes, is that they start showing all the documents that they had. This is the brief for my interviews. I don't care. I don't want to see that, honestly. And hiring manager doesn't want to see that either. We want to see maybe like the how you built the problem statements. So that's pretty cool, because like lots of researchers are really really good at that, and lots of PMs are really really bad at that. So that's your superpower. I want to see the methodologies that you chose and why, and I want to see the key insights of those methodologies. So basically it's exactly the same thing. I hope that helps. um okay, I know that I can somehow what. How best can you position yourself as a product designer trying to change industries? Um, I mean, honestly, I think then like make a lot of focus not on the industry but on the types of projects, like zero to one, redesign, like something like that. And to be honest, if you have strong skills, and if you worked in fintech only and I'm hiring for health tech, but you worked on zero to one and I hire for zero to one, I wouldn't care that much that you worked in fintech. If anything, when you change industries, you can think about your background this way. It's either your disadvantage, so like, oh, I only worked in fintech, so no one wants to hire me. Or you say, I worked in a lot of super complex problems. And so if I go from fintech to health tech, the place that also has super complex problems, that's going to be my advantage. And I would really push on that narrative. So not the narrative of fintech, but the narrative of complexity, restrictions, multi-million user products, and all of those things. That's what makes it very easy for you to kind of drive from one place to another. What do you think of portfolios with just one company? Don't care if you work for one company, it's okay. If you work for a lot of companies and you show just one, why? I mean, so no, let me take a step back. If you've been working as a designer for like 4 years, for example, and 1 year, like first year was in one company and it's ugly. It's just ugly. This is it. Like I just started, the product wasn't great. And then you went to like a very nice company and now you build three case studies based on this company. I get it. And I don't care. I want to see the best and the most relevant work for the roles that you're going after. And so think about what is the best work, what is the most relevant work, what is the work that shows me as the strongest candidate for the roles that I'm going after. The rest doesn't matter. But if you've worked in five companies, and if you just joined the company 1 year ago, but all your case studies about this company, it raises my eyebrow. Why? Like, why don't you show any other work then? So I guess like that's a good explanation for that. Besides what you mentioned today, any tips for standing out as a recent grant with university class projects as case studies? Um, so I mean, it definitely is very hard to stand out as a like very junior person. I would say start creating your own project, so you can find a problem in the world that you're passionate about solving and make like your own pet project. That really helps to show kind of your thinking, do some research, iterate a little bit, build something small and fun that you and one of your friends can use, or something like that. I think this passion really helps for the folks to stand out and really show not only like pixel perfect design, but also product thinking, entrepreneurship, and all of those skills that are very, very, very important. So you can, I'm not saying go and build 5 startups to get a full time job. Like, don't get me wrong, but you can like vibe code something very simple and show, hey, I'm on top on competition. I understand the tools. I understand what is needed from me. And also, those are the grad projects that I've had. Or go and freelance, because lots of companies would be okay with hiring super junior talent if your grad projects look beautiful. So what about long term projects? Let's say 3 years, where you've been facing multiple projects, problems facing the product at. How do I approach it? It's not a project, it's your role. Your role was to deal with that project. So you still need to be able to break down this long project into a project. Honestly, I'm seeing so many designers do that. They bring like a several year project into the case study and try to explain it. And then as they go, they dive through those other projects that they went through, and it just gets very, very confusing for me, for you, for anyone who is reading it. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't make long and strategic projects in your case study, but I'm saying that your narrative must be extremely clear, and it needs to be clear for someone who reads it for the first time. So if you have a multi-year project, what is it that you're trying to explain me? Are you trying to explain me all the phases of the project? Or are you trying to explain me some specific thing about this project and then the impact of that? So, work better with your narrative. And I think that brings me very nicely into the next phase of what I wanted to say. Um, because narrative is something that is hard to build. And, your case study can look beautiful, but if your narrative is broken, it's still not going to make a very good impression. And so, by seeing how much interest there is about portfolios and things like that, I'm definitely considering running the second session, and I'm going to share more details on that very, very soon with all of you folks directly and the rest of the people. I want to do like a workshop, like an actual super hands on workshop, because we haven't done that much today. I said it's hands on because we actually went through portfolios. But I want to bring you all together, and I'm going to explain you what narrative is and how to build it around your work case studies, because that is the biggest disadvantage and the biggest weakness that I'm seeing in a lot of work. And I did something similar with the UXR folks recently, and it was just so awesome to see what they came up with in such a short period of time. So definitely stay tuned. We're going to speak about that more. All right. So, what I want to do as the last second, and if you must run, please apologize. Like, sorry that I'm running over time, and thank you so much for joining. If you need to run, run, folks. I made access that you can edit this board, but please do not edit anything. I just want you to go in, take one of the stickers, and write down what you learned from today. So, once again, here it is. And it would really mean a lot to me to just kind of understand a teeny tiny reflection. I think it's also great for everyone to see what everyone has learned, because that's how we learn best as well. It's not Mira, it's Canva. How cool it is. I just shared it. There it is. I didn't know that Canva has such a cool space. I never tried it. I'm a big Canva fan and a user as well. Like, all content that you see, I create in Canva, all presentations and everything. So, yeah, thank you so much for trying out the whiteboard with me. I really like it. Hopefully, you too. All right, and I'm looking forward to also reading some of your small learnings. I think it's great to also highlight kind of for yourself, what is it that you learned on today's session? Like, what is the top key insight that you're taking away with you? So you also kind of like really make a strong impression for yourself. And please, once again, do not touch the rest of the content. I would really, really appreciate that, because I didn't lock it. Because I trust you guys. But let's be careful here. Okay, and let me see what we come up with already. Micro interactions really help engagement with users that are written but won't make a decision. Exactly. Love the examples. It made it really easy to understand, I guess, to create action points. Love the tips with examples, especially the honesty. It's like recruiters are the users. Micro interactions, how to improve the landing page content to give a better first impression, keywords. Yes, and Tamara, thank you so much once again for being so brave and sharing your work. I absolutely loved your portfolio, and like that was really, really cool to see. So thank you for that. I appreciated it a lot. Okay, let me see very quickly. What else have we seen there? The best way to structure portfolios, feel free to connect with me. Oh yes, very smart. Definitely connect with each other, folks. So you can drop some of the LinkedIn's on in the chat as well. This is really the space for you to make new friends. How to build a standout portfolio with a strong case studies and an impression hiring managers. I really hope so. I need to make an images all fit better on the landing page. Yes, and interactions are fun. What it means to make text digestible. Such good examples. Very good. Thank you so much. I really help. Delightful interactions and very hopeful and great examples for portfolios. I really so happy to literally get this feedback. This is really, really cool. Let's see. Skeletal context structure, how transparent you explain everything. Super, super helpful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very helpful. Very helpful. Very, very happy that it's very helpful. All right. So, folks, then that that makes it the end of our session. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna follow up with absolutely everything. So I'm gonna share with you this board. You will have access to it. You'll have access to three gorgeous portfolios that are available publicly. And thank you so much to Kate, Emmanuel, and Natasha as well for making their work publicly available, because this is how design community should be supporting one another. So I'm very, very happy about that. And also, I'm gonna follow up with some of the useful links. I'm gonna follow up if you want to have some one-on-one time with me or explore my course or anything like that. Because if you found this useful, believe me, there's so much more that you can get. And so I will be very happy to support you on your journey. And yeah, overall, thank you so much. It's been so much fun, and good luck with your portfolios. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ciao.